Hello and welcome to another episode of the Jimmy Rex Show. And today on the podcast, we sit down with NFL legend, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, Mr. Warren Moon. And such a pleasure. He ended up going to 9 Pro Bowls, you guys. This is one of the best players in my youth. I remember watching Warren Moon and playing him in Nintendo, and we get into that a little bit on the podcast, but he really was one of my favorite players. Just the way he played the game, just an amazing NFL career. In 1990, he was the Offensive Player of the Year. But also has been doing a lot of cool things since then. And so it was really fun to sit down and just have this conversation with the one and only Mr. Warren Moon. Today's podcast is brought to you by Bucked Up Supplements. You guys, doing these athlete podcasts, it can be a little bit draining sometimes because I usually do 5 or 6 in a day. I go out to LA and take advantage of my opportunity to be able to get these amazing guests. And when I'm doing it, I'm trying to stay hydrated, but I'm also trying to stay in shape. And so Bucked Up Protein, they come with me. I actually found them at a gas station out there and took a few every single day while I was doing these podcasts. So as you listen to today's podcast, just remember that it is sponsored by Bucked Up Protein, anywhere Bucked Up products are sold. Warren, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. What a beautiful day, huh?
It is a beautiful day. It's funny. We actually met you wouldn't remember it. It was at the Pro Bowl in Hawaii, probably in 2007 or 8. You were throwing a big party.
I threw a lot of parties.
I learned very quickly that Warren Moon is in charge here.
I threw a lot of parties. They were mainly fundraisers, but I did it at the Pro Bowl all the time, and it was a lot of fun. And I loved going to Pro Bowls. I played 9 of them, and I always thought it was an honor to be selected, and definitely should play if I'm selected. So I always went, and Hawaii became like a second home for me. So when I stopped going, I still went over there and gave fundraisers for my foundation and let people have a great time, but also raise some money for some very good causes.
Yeah, it was fun for me. My buddy was playing middle linebacker for the Seahawks. He was a backup, but he got a chance to go. And so we went to this party and he had the NFL players card and everything. And we didn't, you're kind of just a little starstruck. I was 24 maybe, but also you're kind of just seeing how everything works. And it was just funny. I remember you and Tony Gonzalez kind of just had this ultimate respect from all the other guys. And so it was like that day, I'm like, all right, Warren Moon's the dude in charge.
I had it going on pretty good in those days.
That's pretty cool. Another funny story, when I was a kid, I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but Tecmo Super Bowl, they just favored I would play my older brothers and they'd beat my ass no matter who I was. But if I was the Oilers and I would rear back, I could play you and you just throw these like 80-yard bombs all day long. You couldn't stop it. For whatever reason, the game was rigged. They must have been Oilers fans, but you'd always catch it if you were Warren Moon.
I was never into video games growing up, but my kids had them. I had a game room in our house that had Miss Pac-Man, all the different video games in there. And they always told me that I was pretty good on those. And then as I would be out in the public, people always say, you know what, I won with you on Tecmo Bowl or whatever. So I guess I was pretty good on those.
It was like a cheat code. Yeah, you could put you in and it was a total cheat code. Well, for me, I grew up, when I was a kid, I was an Oilers fan. And so it was fun for me. I don't even know how I picked the Oilers. I think I liked your guys' logo or something. But, I remember crying when the stupid Bills game that obviously, was a little bit of a tricky one. But
what I got more of a kick out of than anything, because basketball is my favorite sport.
Okay.
And I got put into NBA jams somehow.
Did you really?
And they had me doing flip dunks and everything. Now, I got a kick out of that because they had NBA jams in the playroom too. I actually watched on that one just to see what I was all about, and I was pretty impressed.
That's
with myself.
Amazing.
I wish I could do one of those dunks for real.
I love it. Well, you made the playoffs 7 out of 10 years with the Oilers. You had such an incredible career, and I think a lot of people don't even realize that you kind of got a late start.
Yeah.
How come? What exactly? Because I know there's a lot of different reasons for things going on at that time. But how did you end up playing it was Canada, I believe, for the first 5 years?
Yeah, I wasn't going to get drafted as a quarterback by most teams in the league, so I didn't want to take a chance of that not happening, so I went where somebody was going to give me a chance to play quarterback, and that was Canadian Football League. So it was a big decision for me to make, because as a young kid growing up, your goal and your dream was to play in the NFL one day, and I thought I had put myself in a good enough position by how I played in college to at least get drafted at the position that I was playing, and that wasn't going to happen, and I had to decide whether I wanted to give up that opportunity or go with the opportunity that I knew was there for me. So I ended up going with the opportunity that was put in front of me, and And I think it worked out pretty good for me. I enjoyed my time up there. We won a lot of championships. And then I still got a chance to realize my dream and come back and play in the National Football League. I wish it could have happened earlier, but I don't regret anything that I did because those years up there were unbelievable years when you're winning, 5 championships like that. And when you win that cup up there in Canada, it's a big deal. We probably don't reference it as much down here because the Super Bowl is the biggest event there is in sports. But for up there, that is a big time thing to do, and to do it 5 times, I was really honored to have done that, and that's something that no other team has done in professional sports since then. Win 5 straight championships.
Last team to do it in anything.
Yeah. I think Montreal Canadiens did it in hockey before us, but we were the last ones to do it. So that's something that I'll always have as a feather in my cap.
That's pretty cool. You're also the only football player, I believe, ever to be inducted into the Canadian and American Hall of Fame.
I am, along with Bud Grant and Marv Levy as 2 coaches.
Okay.
So it's the 3 of us, and that, again, that's another honor. I know a lot of guys don't play in the CFL, so they wouldn't get that opportunity, but I did, and I got a chance to experience both, and I played at the highest level in both.
Yeah. Did you eventually they were like, man, this guy just keeps winning, we better give him a shot? Or how did you get discovered to finally get your shot?
There were always scouts up there at our games all the time, and I was under contract for most of my career up there. So we heard the rumblings. My attorney heard the rumblings that teams were interested in me, even after my second season up there. But because I was under contract, they really couldn't do much to it. They actually tried to get me out of my contract early, a couple of teams, but just weren't able to do it. So when it finally ran out after that 6th season, that's when I was able to come back down here. And there was a time up there, because I did sign a second contract when I was up there because I was enjoying it so much. I felt like I was going to play my whole career up there. But then in the back of my mind, I'm watching NFL games every week, when our season was over or whatever, and I'm still going, I think I could play in that league. I think I'm as good or better than that guy right there. And so it was that burning desire inside of me that okay, how good am I really? And the only way you can kind of really say how good you are is to play against the best. And so that was one of the things that brought me back.
How many of the guys that were playing up there could have played in the league?
Quite a few. The ones I think that really felt like they could, they tried it.
Okay.
And some of them made it, some of them didn't. But most guys up there knew the 2 games are so different, as far as the personnel that you have up there because of the wide field. There's certain players that play well up there, and there's certain players that have come from, even in the United States, from the NFL that tried to go up there, like Vince Ferragamo and Tom Cousineau and all these different people that tried to make transition from down here up there weren't able to make it because their game just didn't fit in. But one of the things that was good about my game was I had a lot of versatility in my game. I could do, I could throw on the run, I could throw drop back, I could play action, I could run the ball if I needed to. So there was a lot of versatility to my game, so that really helped me as far as being able to adapt to different either styles of play were Canada in the NFL or different offenses that I was in even when I was in the NFL.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like you were one of the big trailblazers too in kind of breaking the stigma. Before you, that was like now half the league, the quarterbacks are black. Right. But when you came in, it was, Randall Cunningham and you. And that was about, you came in though and really did a great job. And I feel like you really trailblazed to remove some of that stigma so that these quarterbacks today, now it's, it seems like it's probably preferred.
Yeah. That's something I was aware of. And
did that play into guys wanting you to switch positions?
Of course.
Yeah.
When I came into the league, I was the only one. I was the only starting black quarterback in the league. The only other black quarterback in the league was our 3rd string quarterback, a guy by the name of Brian Ransom.
That's pretty crazy.
From Tennessee State. Doug Williams had gone to the USFL. Right. And I think Vince Evans had gone to the USFL. So I was it until those guys came back after the USFL folded. And there were a lot of eyes on me because when you come down from another country and people really didn't know, kind of who I was, you lose sight of people when they haven't seen you play. So now all of a sudden I'm back. They're hearing all these things that I did up there. I'm paid a ton of money, and they want to see what you're made of. So I know I had a lot of pressure on me because of that.
And was that difficult to deal with that pressure, just knowing how many people were probably both cheering for you to fail, but also cheering for you to succeed?
I never really let any of that get to me, but I was aware of it. There's no question about it. But I had a chip on my shoulder too from all the different levels that I had come through playing football to play quarterback, whether it was going to high school and coaches not wanting me to play it, whether it was having to go to junior college before I went to major college, if it was because of going to Canada before I came to the NFL. There was always these doubts. And so I was used to it. And like I said, I had that chip that I'm going to show you, but I'm going to do it my way. I'm not going to boast about it. I'm just going to let my play do all the talking for me. And then you guys make up your minds after that.
Yeah. Now, when you were with those Oilers teams, I mean, you guys, got close a couple times.
Yeah. We had some really good teams. At least two of those teams, we probably should have went to the Super Bowl. We just didn't finish out our playoff runs, but man, we had some talented teams, and it's really hard to say the reason why, but I think a lot of it starts from the top. A lot of it starts from the ownership, and they've got to be totally committed to that.
Were they totally committed in your guys' case, or was there a couple things that they just
there were
didn't
things,
quite
you
get it
look
there?
at like what Jerry Jones is doing right now in Dallas. Our owner had a lot of that in
God,
him,
just way too involved.
Just kind of rubbed people the wrong way and just created a bad feeling sometimes within the negotiations, So even though you get a deal worked out, that doesn't mean you have all these great feelings for the organization that you just want to give everything you've got for it, because they made it so tough for you to get what you probably deserved anyway. So those types of things happen, and I think owners have to realize that. And you see the ownership of these teams that do win championships, the ownership is usually pretty solid and pretty supportive of their players.
It's like you have to have like in NFL especially, it's like ownership, head coach, quarterback. Those are the three things you've got to get right.
Yeah, you got to get that right. But again, it starts at the top.
I mean, you see a lot nowadays with the game, the way that they let them play. Do you ever think about, how many yards you could have thrown for in today's game versus when you played?
Yeah, it would have been scary. You look at myself or Dan Marino or John Elway, or you give us these types of rules and this type of freedom and this type of protection. There's no telling how many yards we would have threw for. I remember I had a chance to break 5,000 yards back in 1990 when we only played 16 games. These guys are playing 17. They're getting ready to go to 18. So the numbers are going to really get outrageous here when they expand the schedule again. But I got hurt in the second to the last game of the season. I would have broke the all-time single season record the next week. But I ended up having an open dislocation of my thumb on my passing hand. And that put me out for not only that last game, but also the playoffs. So that was a devastating blow for me to end that season, but that was one of my best seasons in the league.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting nowadays, a lot of the things that, where the NFL's gone and so many things they've done right as far as getting people interested, right? I know with me and my buddies, I don't even have a team. Like, honestly, when I was a kid, I was the Oilers, and I kind of had some buddies in the league, so I kind of cheered for whoever they were playing for. But I don't really have a team, but I love watching the NFL because they've made it so from between, sports betting, and then you also have fantasy.
Yeah, that's really brought a lot of fans to the game.
Yeah,
fantasy.
It just gives you reasons to watch it, right?
Women have become big fans because of fantasy. Because not only are you rooting for the player on that team, like you might have 12 guys on your fantasy team, they might be from 12 different teams around the league.
Right.
So now all of a sudden you're rooting for 12 teams and not just 12 guys.
Yeah, like when I pick my team, I literally try to find guys on teams I want to watch them play. Yeah. So I'll get somebody on the Chiefs and someone on the Packers, someone on the Ravens, just because it makes it more fun to watch those games.
And it would see to show the change of everything. When I was playing, fantasy was just coming in, and the league didn't want nothing to do with fantasy. They didn't want us to have anything to do with fantasy because it was like a form of gambling, and they wanted to stay as far away from gambling as you could be. But as soon as they figured out a way to make money on it, now all of a sudden, here we go with the NFL fantasy football sites.
Do you think it's a slippery slope where you've got, they can bet individual stats and games and everything? You saw in baseball, I don't know if you saw that the closer for the Indians, he got suspended for, throwing on purpose balls on the first pitch. Because you can do so many prop bets now. And it's like, it'd be really easy to cheat that stuff.
And it's too bad that it gets to that, the game should still be played with a lot of integrity. Players shouldn't get involved in that. I just don't think they should. I don't think you should be able to bet on your own sport. Now, if you want to bet on other sports, that's a little bit different. But you have no way of affecting a game if you're not betting on your own sport. So anybody who does that, I frown on that. But betting is a big part of what's going on right now. It's huge. I mean, they make it so easy, too. You can do it on your phone. You can sit in the stadium. Right. They're going to have, probably a little betting booths right there at your seat here pretty soon. So, like I said, they found out a way to make money at it, and they're making tons of money. And that's why the game continues to keep growing, and that's why these players continue to keep making the money that they're making. Yeah, it feels
like of all the sports, it's just the healthiest one, It's just in a good spot. And they have made some things to make the game safer and some of those things. I look back, I remember when I was watching, when you guys were young or playing and when I was younger, and I mean, it was a little bit too brutal.
It was a physical game, but I think that's what football's all about. But I understand why they're protecting the players the way they are now, because of the long-term effects of what this game can do to you. And we were kind of the guinea pigs of that.
Yeah. Did you get any concussions when you played?
I had 6.
6?
Yeah. So every day I wake up, I wonder, am I feeling the same? Can I remember this? Can I remember that? Is it because of my age, or is it because of the concussion? So those are things that you worry about, but I'm in pretty good condition that way. And, I've had some of those psychological testings and stuff like that done. So far I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a couple of boxers I've done podcasts with, and you can tell they got hit too many times. You seem like you're pretty very well aware.
Well, you look at the amount of guys that have taken their lives and different things like that. Like a really good friend of mine, Junior Seau.
Yeah, that was really the one that woke everybody up.
Yeah, he took his life, and he's a guy that played middle linebacker for 19 years and never had a diagnosed concussion. There's something wrong there.
Yeah. For the average fan, I don't think they realize just how intense and brutal the game is, just how hard the guys are hitting. I think about the best player I played with when I was little didn't even make a college squad. And those guys, so few of them make the NFL squads. Yeah. And I mean, they really are, it's such a physical game.
It really is. And, 0.5% of the guys that play the game make it to the NFL. So, it doesn't matter if you make it that far or not. You can still have those concussion problems just from playing in high school or playing high school to college or whatever it might be. It's the repetitive hits to the head is what causes it. Yeah. So, that's something I think they have a better handle on now. You see the players in practice now wearing the extra,
they're doing everything
extra
they can
padding on the helmets, but it's still it's a collision game. The players keep getting bigger, they keep getting stronger, they keep getting faster. So those collisions are going to be just as hard. And you just have to pray every time you go out there, and hopefully the equipment and the way you play the game, helps as far as the head-to-head poundings.
Yeah. Well, do you have a favorite moment from your career when you were playing?
Wow. When you play 23 years, you have a lot of favorite moments.
That's a lot of moments.
A lot of favorite moments. But I think the biggest one for me was when I went to Houston. I knew it was going to be a rebuilding process, and kind of reminded me of when I went to the University of Washington, and we ended up, getting to the Rose Bowl in my senior year. Same thing, rebuilding, new coach. I go to Houston, rebuilding, new coach, and we finally get to the playoffs and win that first playoff game at home. That was probably one of my biggest highlights because of what we went through to get there.
Yeah.
You always feel like you really earned what you got when you go through those tough times, when you go through that adversity, and how you deal with it as a team, and all those different hurdles you get over until you finally get to where you want to get to. So that was probably one of my biggest moments, finally getting to the playoffs, taking a team that was a perennial loser and to win.
That's pretty special. What is it like being in that locker room or in the huddle and knowing you're the leader? Everyone's looking to you. You're the guy. I mean, what did you do to try to lead the group or try to, be the best leader that you could be to the guys?
I'm not a big rah-rah guy or anything like that. I'm not a get up in your face and yell and scream at guys, because we're all professionals out there, right? But I led a lot by example. And then when I did talk, I talked to the team, everybody at once, or either I talked to one individual at a time. If I felt like that guy needed to be talked to, I pulled him to the side, didn't want to show him off, didn't want to show him up. I wanted to just let him know what was on my mind, whether I thought he needed to have an attitude adjustment, whether he needed to step it up or give him a little encouragement because maybe he did something that he felt down about. I did it that way. And I also led a lot by example, just how I carried myself in the building, what time I got there, what time I left, how I worked in the weight room. I'd lift weights with the linemen, stuff like that, just to show those guys I'm in there working and putting in just as much time, if not more, than themselves. So those are the things that kind of enhance leadership. And then, of course, you got to get on the field and make plays too. That's what they're really looking for.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to lead if you're not
unless you're not
success,
performing.
Right?
Yeah.
The NFL especially. I mean, it's one of those. It's almost crazy how much the quarterback matters.
Yeah.
And
especially now.
Yes, it's literally, you can look at the playoffs and every single team, it's the quarterback.
Yeah.
And, and then from there, they figure out the rest of the pieces.
Right. The game was a little more balanced back when I played, but today it's starting to come back that way a little bit now to a more balanced game. But the quarterback has really dominated the play here over the last, I'd say, 10 years or so.
Yeah. If you were the commissioner, what's something you would do different with the league right now?
Wow. I would, well, if I was, they wouldn't do this, but I'd take away those middle of the week games.
Oh, those have got to be brutal, right?
When you have to come back on 4 days after a game on Sunday and play again on Thursday, I don't know how the players continually do that. They don't make them do it a ton, but they do it more than what we did. When I played, we only did it if you had a Thanksgiving game. That was the only time you played on a Thursday. But now they have a Thursday game every week.
Yeah.
And I think they only make one team do it per season. I'm not sure. But some teams play on Thanksgiving every year, like the Cowboys and Detroit. And I'm sure they also have another Thursday game in there somewhere. So those types of things. And when they go to 18 games, it's either going to make the season that much longer because they're probably going to have another bye, or there's going to be some more of those short week games.
Well, one of my buddies that played in the league, he said, he's like, Monday, Tuesday, you're barely able to practice Wednesday because you're just recovering until then.
And I know how I feel as a quarterback, and I know how those, I don't know, but I do know how those offensive and defensive linemen feel, and the guys that are really doing the banging in there on Sunday afternoon, what their bodies have to be like by Wednesday to get ready to play again, especially if you have to travel.
Yeah.
You have to get on an airplane on Wednesday and go play in a city on Thursday on top of how you feel after that last Sunday game. It's tough on the body. And those are the things that, even though they've made all these improvements in the equipment and the hitting, all that different stuff, when you start having those types of games like that, it almost says, well, why?
Yeah. No, if you look at, did you guys have to used to play in the Astrodome at all, or did you have your own stadium when you were in Houston?
Oh, we were in the Astrodome.
You were on that turf?
Oh, yeah.
How bad was that on the body?
It was brutal.
It was like playing on cement or what?
I've got burns all over my body from that.
I can't believe they used to play on that.
Yeah. In my first, I think it was 8 years there, we only played on one surface. So the baseball team played there too, the Astros.
Right.
So you had the base pads. They had to be taken out so they have dirt there for the base pads and the pitching mound and home plate. And then when we played, they put the grass back in there or the fake turf back in there and zipped it back up. So you had these big seams all over the field. And guys were ripping their knees up like crazy on that stuff.
That's crazy that they used to do
blowing out ACLs. And they finally, my last 2 years, got another turf just for football and then a turf just for baseball. But yeah, it was the damage had already been done.
Yeah, no, I think about some of those. I remember watching the Niners play at Candlestick, and you got the dirt infield. And just some of these things that they did. It's just crazy to think about.
I played in a lot of those games too. The Raiders were that way. The Rams were that way in Anaheim. San Diego was that way. Depending on when it was during the season, early part of the season, if they were still playing baseball, you played on the baseball diamond.
Did you? That's crazy. Did you have a least favorite place to play? Just because either the fans or the environment or just whatever?
Probably Buffalo.
Yeah.
Man, that was a tough place to play weather-wise, and their fans were amazing.
Yeah.
They really supported their team.
Like I said at the beginning, I was an Oilers fan. That was the team I cheered for, and I just remember obviously that was a game that go down in infamy or whatever.
Yeah.
From your standpoint, How devastating was that when they came back and beat you guys in that second half?
Yeah, I never thought we were going to lose for a minute. I just kept saying on the sideline, "Why are we making this so hard on ourselves?" As they kind of made their little comeback. But I'm like, why can't we just put this game away? And because we had some other games like that in the season too, where we got out and then teams kind of slowly crept back, but we still won those games. And I just didn't think we were going to lose that one. But for that to get into an overtime game and the things that happened down the stretch, I started looking back at it and I'm saying, you know what? I think we were just destined not to win that game. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had some plays where our defense, some balls went right through our linebacker's hands for an interception that probably would have put the game away and goes right through his hands into their receiver's hands behind him. Receivers stepping out of bounds on their team and coming back in and not being called. Mm-hmm. Just different things like that happened throughout the second half that kept their momentum going. So when you look back at it, you're like, golly, were we meant to win that game?
Yeah, they were destined to lose 4 in a row, I guess.
Right? Yeah, whatever.
Well, it's so crazy how football works. I mean, I was watching a highlight the other day of the Giants-Patriots game when the Patriots were undefeated, and, the guy catches the ball on his helmet. You're just like, what is going on?
Those types of things.
Everything is such an inch here or an inch there, but I think it's what makes it so fun to watch.
That catch made David Tyree, famous to this day. I see him at memorabilia shows because he made that catch. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time, Warren. It's a pleasure. It was always fun to watch you play, and you just really played the game the right way. And I really believe you were a huge trailblazer for the game that we have today. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I had a great time doing it. It wasn't always easy, but I had a pretty interesting journey. But I was proud of the way it ended up. Except for not winning that one elusive title. Other than that, I did way more than I ever thought I would do in the game of football, especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show just how difficult it is to get a title.
Yeah.
And thankfully you have the ones in Canada, I guess, so at least you got to do that. But, well, thank you again, my friend.
Alrighty, good to see you.
Thank you again for listening to the Jimmy Rex Show. And if you liked what you heard, please like and subscribe. It really helps me to get better guests, to be able to get the type of people on this podcast. It's going to make it the most interesting. Also, want to tell everybody about my podcast studio, the Rookery Studios, now available in Salt Lake City and Orem, Utah. If you live in Utah and want to produce your own podcast, we take all of the guesswork out of it for you. We make it so simple. All you do is you come in, you sit down, you talk, and leave. We record it, edit it, even post it for you. If interested in doing your own podcast, visit our Instagram and send us a DM, Rookery Studios, or go to our website, therookerystudios.com.